Welcome to our channel. Whether this is your first time or you are visiting us again, we are happy to have you. The following is an article written by Ron Black. Ron Black passed away as far back as September 5, 2017. I had known that he was ill, for he had visited me while on a visit to friends or relatives in the Swansea area, and it was obvious that things were not going well for him. A few weeks later he emailed to confirm that his health had deteriorated, and he told me that he would not be sending any articles for quite some time. I have just been informed that he had in fact passed away, and this article of his from the magazine 264 is included in small tribute to him and to his work in recording and bringing to light the history of many aspects of hunting life in his beloved Cumbria. His family had deep roots in the area and in the sport of fell fox hunting, and Ron was well respected for his honesty and his ability to delve into the past. He was totally committed to his beliefs and would never change them. We need more men like him. He will be sorely missed. An excerpt from Ron Black's book, History of the Ullswater Foxhounds Part 2. In his new book, Ron Black offers us the most comprehensive account of the epic efforts to rescue the two trapped heroes, Butcher and Badger, in February 1948. The rescue made news throughout Britain and caused the ballad Butcher and Badger to be written to commemorate the occasion. There are many other reports of terrier rescues in the book. The story of Badger and Butcher, two terriers belonging to the Ullswater Foxhounds, entombed for 15 days above Brotherswater, is well known. Using newspaper reports of the time and some family history, what follows is a more detailed account of what proved to be one of the longest rescues in Lakeland fox hunting history. Rescue attempts near Kirkstone. Hope is now fading that two of the Ullswater Pack's crack terriers, entombed in a rocky chasms on Dod End, above the Kirkstone Road for 5 days and nights, will be rescued. After 4 days' work had resulted in some 500 tons of rock being excavated, the operations reached a stage on Wednesday night when no further work could be done without some sound from the terriers to indicate their whereabouts, and listening parties made visits to the bourne at various times. Yesterday, Thursday, without result. On Wednesday evening, Bobby Porter, a Westmoreland County Council road worker living at Glenridding, was lowered over 20 feet by rope into underground shafts to search for hares on the rocks with the aid of a torch, but again without success. The terriers, One-Eyed Badger and Brown Butcher, entered the bourne at 7 a.m. on Sunday, after an emergency daybreak hunt by the Ullswater Foxhounds following lamb worrying round Hartsop Hall. 4 cubs were accounted for, and the vixen led the terriers into the bourne. Huntsman Joe Ware and whip Tom Robinson, aided by Mr. John Poole and other helpers, heard the terriers on Sunday, but when they had not emerged by Monday morning, work was started in earnest. Last heard on Monday at 1 p.m. on Monday, Butcher barked in response to shouts, but this was the last sound heard from the bourne. Throughout Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, excavation proceeded until a cavity the size of a house living room had been made in the hillside to reveal horizontal and perpendicular chasms in all directions. This complicated the excavation work, which was frequently fraught with danger when large slabs of rock were undermined and had to be brought down and ejected with bar and hammer. In addition to the huntsman and whip, valuable work was done by Messrs. J. Poole, T. Hodgson, R. Porter, E. Flitters, J. Allen, J. Burrell, A. Routledge and A. Barker. Despite the continuance of lamb worrying in the district, huntsman and whip gave precedence to the rescue operations until Wednesday morning, when the whip took hounds to Glencoyne Farm and they hunted a fox, which it is believed was killed. Huntsman Ware said yesterday, Thursday, that he had not given up hope that the terriers would be rescued. Under the dry conditions which exist in this bourne, he believes they could live for a week, and with regard to the absence of sound from them, he recalled that a terrier belonging to Dr. J.R.K. Thompson, rescued on Placefell during the war after 7 days, was not heard during the whole of that time. Entombed terriers apparently sleep in a form of stupor and sometimes feed on the fox. Westmoreland Gazette, 1st of May, 1948. The next week's Gazette carried the following piece: Entombed Terriers 13th Day in Foxhole Dynamite to aid rescue both dogs alive. Butcher and Badger, the two terriers of the Ullswater pack, are still entombed in the well-nigh impregnable rocky bourne on Hartsop Dod End, above Brotherswater, and today, Friday, is the 13th day of their imprisonment. On Tuesday, Anthony Barker, wartime huntsman of the Ullswater pack, crawled 10 feet into an underground passage and by the rays of his torch saw Butcher licking water from the wall behind an obstructing stone. But since then, because of the too dangerous nature of this approach, a fresh excavation has been started, and last night, Thursday, small blasting charges were used to hasten the operation. The removal of each huge slab from the place where it has lain for centuries is now a step nearer in what is becoming a race against time, for the period of imprisonment has now surpassed anything in local hunting history and the terriers must be nearing the limit of endurance. Most unfortunate features of the whole operation has been the fact that from Monday week until last Sunday morning no sound was heard from the terriers, and work was held up for nearly 3 days until Messrs. E. Flitters and A. Wilkinson got answering barks to their shouts on Sunday. 12 hours work was put in each day by huntsman Joe Ware, Whip Tom Robinson, and Messrs. E. Flitters, A. Barker, Archie, Jack, and William Wilkinson, A. Routledge, R. Porter, J. Poole, and other willing helpers working in relays, and it was a great disappointment, after Anthony Barker had crawled to within 3 feet of the dogs, that a fresh start had to be made on Tuesday night, which meant another 3 or 4 days' excavation. On Wednesday, Whip Tom Robinson, working alone in the early morning, heard both terriers barking together simultaneously to establish for the first time that both were still alive. Huntsmen were stated yesterday, Thursday, that they might reach the terriers before tomorrow, Saturday. Westmoreland Gazette, 8th of May, 1948. Entombed terriers after more than a week. The two game little terriers Badger and Butcher, hunting with the Ullswater foxhounds, were still imprisoned underground somewhere amongst the rocks and screes of Dod End behind Brotherswater. They had followed a vixen in and had evidently got trapped. This is easily done. The fox can leap down into a rocky cavity from which he has no difficulty in climbing out, not so the terriers, who with all their achievements cannot climb like a fox. Great credit is due to the local farmers, shepherds and supporters of the pack for their arduous, long and patient efforts to effect a release, for, apart from the natural affection which exists between these fell-head folk and their dogs, a good pack terrier is worth its weight in gold, especially at the present time when he is such a valuable asset in preserving the nation's larder. A young lamb is worth considerable money and care nowadays, more particularly after the heavy toll last year's Arctic weather exacted. A well-grown ewe is naturally worth even more. Red Screes Westmoreland Gazette, 8th of May, 1948. Cheers, tears and a hymn. It was at 2:30 p.m. on Sunday afternoon, in the presence of more than 100 people, that 4 hours' effort to remove the last slab of rock rewarded the patient work of Bob Porter and huntsman Joe Ware, aided by a band of willing helpers hauling on a rope. As the last obstructing stone was pulled out of the passage, Butcher walked out behind it, blinking in the bright sunlight. The scene brought tears to the eyes of women among the crowd, caused an outburst of applause, and one man led the singing of the hymn "Rescue the Perishing." After photographers had obtained pictures of Butcher in the arms of Joe Ware, the terrier was given a drink of milk from a dish carried up the mountainside by 13-year-old Dulcie Ware, niece of the huntsman, in anticipation of the rescue. The rescued terrier was clean of coat and, apart from weakness through loss of weight, apparently little the worse for the longest imprisonment in local hunting annals. He slept in the huntsman's cottage at Grathwaite Howe on Sunday night, and after a drink of milk on Monday morning trotted down to the kennels with the huntsman when he went to feed the hounds. He rejoined the terriers in the kennels on Tuesday. A celebration sing-song was held at Brotherswater Hotel on Sunday night, when a tribute was paid to Mr. and Mrs. Alfred Flitters for their hospitality to the men who had worked for a fortnight to rescue the terriers, and huntsman Ware expressed his thanks to the workers. On Monday, Whip Tom Robinson crawled into the bourne and with some difficulty found and recovered the body of Badger, which he buried on the hillside nearby. Fortnight's rescue work. The story of the fortnight's rescue work is one of great determination and voluntary effort on the part of the men of the district. After the first 3 days' work, Anthony Barker crawled some distance underground to reach the obstructing rock, but as this could not be moved by one man, a fresh excavation had to be made, which entailed another 10 days' work. For each yard the men progressed into the hillside, many tons of roof had to be removed, but the almost daily barking of Butcher provided great encouragement in work which was continually fraught with danger as huge boulders and slabs were undermined. All these had to be brought down, dynamite was used on several occasions, and cleared away before the tunnel could be extended. Messages came from all parts of the country praising and encouraging the workers, and in addition to a check for £1 from a London businessman. Mrs. Nash of St. Mary's Abbey, Windermere, promised £10 on Saturday if the terriers were rescued. Mrs. Nash implemented her promise on Monday evening, when she made personal calls on many of the workers. Tributes to rescuers letters have continued to arrive at Brotherswater Hotel all this week, and one package from a schoolmaster at Central High School, Whitworth Street, Manchester, enclosed a batch of letters of praise for the rescuers, all signed by schoolboys. Another letter signed Dog Lover Gosforth stated with the enclosed £1 note, "Would you be so kind as to place a few flowers on the little grave of Badger? Perhaps the remaining few shillings will help to buy a drink for the brave men who risked so much in the rescue." Mrs. June Wilkinson, daughter of the landlord of the Brotherswater Hotel, has climbed the hill once more and placed a spray of flowers on the grave. Another letter signed GFD and sent from Billings End, Blackburn, read, "Will you put this £2 in the kitty for a round or two, from an old man who has known the Lake District for 56 years. I have always been proud of it, but never more so than today. I only wish I could join you again with my old Grasmere friends." Great credit is due to all the rescuers. Those who were able, led by Huntsman Ware and Whip Tom Robinson, worked during the day, while many others climbed the hill each evening as soon as their normal day's work was done. John Poole was one of the most enthusiastic. Bob Porter's skill in rock work hastened progress, and among many others who made this work a duty to their fellows in that memorable fortnight were Edward Flitters, Jack Burrell, John Allen, Leslie, and Norman Ware, Anthony Barker, Jack Hewinson, Albert Routledge, the 5 Wilkinson brothers, Tom Hodgson, Angus Macaulay, and George Black, who walked over the tops from Ambleside on several occasions. Westmoreland Gazette, 15th of May, 1948. The final word came from Red Screes: "Unpaid labor. Whilst certain types of workmen are upsetting the country with their eternal strikes on the smallest pretext, we have to record time and again the unremitting and unpaid hours of exacting labor and terrific strain on the part of dwellers on our innermost fells." The last fortnight was an object lesson of the team's spirit and unrelaxing efforts put forth to rescue 2 terriers which went to earth in a stronghold after the brush of a 4-footed lamb killer. This was no isolated instance in the fox hunting history of the Lake Country, but it is a monument to the affection the Dales men have for their dogs. Then again, many weekends in the summer see rescue parties being formed to go to the aid of stricken mountain climbers who unconsciously or otherwise in their inexperience risk their necks and limbs in essaying climbs which should be left religiously alone. What a contrast these voluntary unpaid labors to the grasping after yet more pay. Westmoreland Gazette, 15th of May, 1948. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, continue to be one of one, my friends.